Hello, and welcome to the FM Podcast. I'm Jen Fritz, and I run Fritz Media, a music publicity and digital marketing firm located in Vancouver, Canada. And this is episode number 6 of the podcast. So when I started working as a publicist in the music industry, my job was a lot different than it is now. When I started, there were way fewer outlets to pitch for coverage because music blogs were barely a thing at that time. But there were local music writers at nearly every print newspaper across Canada, which is really crazy to think about now, but that's how it was. And out of all of those journalists that I used to call up on the phone to pitch my artists, there are not very many that are still working in the industry in the same capacity. Some are out of the business completely, and some have started their own online publications, and a very limited few are still in the exact same place. And one of those people is our guest on the show this week, Mr. Mike Devlin. Now, Mike is an arts reporter at the Times Colonist in Victoria, BC. That's where he was when I started, and that's where he remains to this day. Mike and I are going to discuss the state of music journalism in 2021, how much things have changed, and what the future looks like for music criticism. Now, I've known Mike for many years, obviously, since I've known him since I started. He's a fellow music nerd, and so he and I have spent a lot of time over the years geeking out and ranting about all things music. So you're going to hear a lot of that in this interview. Basically, I'm telling you, you should buckle up because you're in for a good one here. And I hope you'll enjoy our talk. Here's my conversation with Mike Devlin. Well, hello, Mike. How you doing? How are things on the island?
Fritzy, the island is beautiful. It's t-shirt/hoodie weather, so I'm happy.
And I see that you're wearing a Soundgarden t-shirt.
It's one of the rotation. I have a rotation. Yeah. I have an Ice Cube t-shirt that I wear often. I have Run DMC t-shirts. I have Public Enemy t-shirts. I have a Gordownie t-shirt. So I'm dating myself because none of those people are quote unquote a modern day artist, but nonetheless.
That's okay. That's part of the charm that is Mike Devlin, I believe.
I am veering dangerously close to the stereotypical rock critic.
Yes.
Who wears hoodies and Vans and Levi's and wears a rotating cast of t-shirts.
That's okay. I like it. Is it a bad Motorfinger?
It is.
Oh, hardcore. That's my fave.
Which is the only one.
Don't even talk to me about anything
garbage.
else.
Forget the power ballads. Forget that crap.
No, don't care.
I don't want any of that.
No. That's all I want.
Cornell, and it only reinforced that they had one good album.
Yeah.
But it's a damn good album.
Oh, it's amazing. One of my all-time faves. You know that. And also, I saw them at Lollapalooza 92, which also featured Ice Cube.
Damn right it did. And Pearl Jam in the second slot of the day.
Yeah.
After Lush.
Like they just put out 10 at that point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Temple of the Dog had been out as well. Like I think they were starting to get a little bit known, but they certainly were not the Pearl Jam that we knew even 6 months after the fact. Like they were pretty close to being the best band that day, and they were in broad daylight. So
oh God, were you at the Vancouver one?
I was. Thunder.
Yeah, I was at that one too. It was like pouring rain.
It was pouring rain.
It was awful.
And I was scarred for life due to the Ministry performance because we were, I don't know how you say it, under the influence. And I was a huge Ministry fan, and so we made our way through the crowd all the way up to the very front. And then when I realized he was singing into a microphone that was coming out of a skull, like a human skull, and that didn't do wonders for my state of mind at the time. So me and my buddy got so freaked out that we turned around and went as far away on site as you could possibly go because something about the image of Al Jorgensen singing into a skull didn't help us out. No, it was not very good at all.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think we both probably have many memories like that from the 90s.
We've been in the biz a long time. We're the old schoolers, Fritzy.
Yeah. No, it's totally true, which, this is a good segue into kind of how me and you first met. So we met when I first started working in the music business, when I was doing publicity at Frontside Promotions Group, like kind of in the early aughts, I would say.
Maybe even late 90s. Maybe late 90s.
No, it was early aughts because I was still in radio until about 2002, and then I made the switch.
It was right
so
then, yeah,
it was right then, and that was like a completely different time in the scope of how like I do my job, because back then I would phone people and pitch them. Like that's what I would do. I would pick up the phone, call them, and I would pitch them. And obviously it's not like that anymore. Much different. It's a
well,
whole
you
different
and I would say that we're pretty good friends, and we've probably been in the physical space of each other about a half dozen times in our life.
Oh yeah.
And it was because you work the phones, and obviously as a journalist, I'm on the phone, or was, all the time. And that's how the relationships were born. And that's how the job was done, on the phone.
No, it's so true.
And it's what's missing to a large degree today, because the relationships are not the same. There's not the depth. There's not the like, it's Fritz, I got to do her a favor or whatever. And not in a bad way, but I just mean that when there's a personal investment there, you're more inclined to go the distance for somebody versus it's just a name on an email address.
No, that is definitely true. And I think that it's harder to, like from my end, to create those relationships and nurture those relationships. And that's just because of how vast everything is right now. And, also maybe because there isn't a lot of music journalists anymore.
We are a dying breed. Yeah.
That's
I would also say too, though, that companies back then stuck with people longer. Mm-hmm. Like you probably had contracts in the beginning of your career that were pretty lengthy. And now you're taking a 6-monther, a 3-monther, or what have you. And so what developed back then was there was one person to talk to at Universal. There was one person to talk to at Warner, at Network, at EMI. And it was that relationship is you needed something. You called Lyle Chassé or Zuli at Sony.
Yeah.
And you called Teresa Blackwell at Universal, and they were there for a long time. And now I can't tell you, I mean, you probably hit double digits in who you deal with at Universal Music out of Toronto in a year.
No, it's
I'm
true.
never talking to the same person.
No, and you kind of, I know me and you have talked about this before, but you don't even know who to call.
I do not know who to call at Universal.
Yeah, like that's a problem. Like
the largest record company in the country, and I wouldn't know who to call.
Yeah. Oh,
and I'm a daily newspaper music journalist. one of a dying breed.
One of the only ones left in Canada, by the way.
And it's just strange. You say 2002 when we met. My goodness, what's changed from now until then?
No, it's so crazy. So we'll come back to this topic in a second, because me and you can rant about this sort of thing forever.
We can rant with the best of them.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's, I will just call you even if I have nothing to pitch you.
It's
just
fun.
So that
sometimes. I'll answer a Fritzy phone call at 9:00 on a Friday night because I know she wants to complain about something.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes I just want to rant.
It's fun.
But let's talk about you for just a little bit. And how did you start working as a music writer?
It grew out of, which I'm sure that anyone that got into radio in the 80s or 90s or journalism, rock criticism, to be cheesy about it, got into it, not rarely through a traditional route. People went to radio school for sure. But there was a ton of good radio people in the province that got there because they were music fans first. And so that's basically how I came to it. Had a lot of friends who played in bands, was a massive music fan myself, went the route of volunteering at the university radio station, volunteering for the university newspaper, and then went on in the more formal position to the entertainment editor of the college newspaper, went into college radio and that kind of thing. And then just one thing led to another and got a call from the daily newspaper in Victoria, of which there is only one and still is only one, because friend of a friend, they were looking for somebody and they just brought me in for an interview. And so it was really not a ton of tangible training. I had a lot of experience in various capacities of music in the music industry, but just not a lot of training. And they definitely took a chance on me. That's for sure.
That's amazing.
And I guess it worked out. Yeah.
That would never happen now.
Never.
Never. Not a chance.
And that was the best part. I mean, you think of like Danger on CFox or whoever, like these were guys that, and I'm speaking out of turn because he may have had a ton of musical, experience as well as, scholastic radio experience, but maybe he didn't. I'm kind of thinking Danger just got on CFox by just being a solid dude and knew a lot about music.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the case. I also do not know.
Yeah, but as an example is that was an era where you could be a good guy, good girl, and someone would take a shot on you.
Yeah, I mean, I did go to radio school. I took broadcast journalism because my whole goal was to work at the CBC. That was my dream. That was young Fritzy's dream. So I was coming at it from a journalistic angle, and I got my very first radio job while I was still going to school. And I'm a huge music fan too, obviously. So once I got a job at a radio station, I was like, oh.
You're like, hey.
You mean I get to like just play these songs and tell people about it? Like,
in some ways, and it's somewhat disrespectful, but like being a music fan was enough back then. You know, you had a station programmer, you had a label manager, you know, you had street team. Like it could be a hardcore music fan, and that was your entry into that business in whatever form.
No, and now it's just like there's.
Well, you better have your social media skill set on board. I see job descriptions now, and I'm like, so where is being a music fan on this job description?
Well, let's talk a bit about the changes that we've kind of alluded to over the years. You know, as I mentioned, I would call people to cover our clients. Yeah. There was a lot less people to call also, by the way. There were actually music writers at nearly every daily newspaper, and we had alternative weeklies in every major city. So those are the people I had, like the list. Those are the people I would call. And now things are so different, just completely different.
You and I have talked about this over the years. When you hired Jen Fritz to speak in the third person, you were hiring you because of your relationships, because of your address book. There wasn't a whole lot of, we got to bring up to speed. If you knew who Stuart Darden was and could get a hold of him, or Mike Usinger, or whoever, that was of value to a company.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was your skill set, was you're like, I'm good on the phone. I know these people trust me. We have a good relationship. Like, I can help your company if you hire me, because it's an immediate phone call. You know, you were at Frontside, and then you're at Network, and then, you know, we can name Sony, a billion different people.
Don't forget my Sony time.
Of course, right? And I dealt with you on all those, you know, times in your life, and it was because you were employable, because you developed that, you know, that relationship.
Fritz is good on phones, man. I'm good on phones.
Damn right, sister. But it's, you know, and again, not to sound like a couple old people sitting at the old folks home, reminiscing about the good old days, but it is not like that now.
No, it's so true. It's so different. I mean, it's just the whole vast scope of things. Like, there's so many music blogs.
Yes.
I can't just stay limited to Canada now, because they're just, if I'm limited to Canada, there's not enough. I can't get enough coverage for people, which means I have to now pitch, you know, blogs in the US and the UK, internationally. And, you know, I don't have relationships with those people in the same way that I have relationship with you, right? So, and it's hard to get things done.
It is. And I just don't think the world of journalism, of music publicity, of live events, I just don't think the world works like that anymore. No. Like, I don't think there's anybody who has that black book. And that used to be gold.
It's true.
That was,
I mean,
you know,
we still like kind of have it. The problem is that they change so quickly.
Well, that's what I mean.
Like, it's people lose their jobs, especially here in Canada. Like, we don't have any music journalists writing at the national level. There's very few of them. And I don't know. It's so hard. And, you know, because things are so different now, I wonder, I'd like to know, where do you think things are heading?
Well, I think it's going to be the further homogenization. I mean, I think as the only people that can not only navigate, you know, a COVID-19 existence, but navigate the world of publishing or journalism or what have you, is big companies with deep pockets. And so what they do is you see a Bell Media or a Pattison Radio Group or whatever buying up everything. Whereas in the past, you had pockets, you had individually owned newspapers and kind of bad boy radio stations that were owned kind of off the grid by these companies. You didn't really know who they were. You can rarely find an independently owned media property.
No,
it doesn't exist
not anymore.
So
no, not anymore.
To answer your question, I think what happens then is you get that corporate branding. Every radio station under the Bell umbrella is going to sound relatively the same, depending on what kind of music they play. Same with newspapers.
Yeah, it's true. And I already see that. Like, let's take Post Media for an example. I get a story for my artist in the Calgary Herald. That story runs on every single property, nearly, on their website as entertainment content. I
used to work for Post Media. I would write stories because it usually worked out. It would either be Cha Dunleavy at the Montreal Gazette or me, because the tour would either start in Montreal or it'd start in Victoria. And if it started in Montreal, it'd end in Victoria. And we would run Cha's preview of said artist that was touring across the country. More often than not, it started in Victoria because it was just easier routing. They'd come up the West Coast, up to Victoria, and then go across and go Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, you know, et cetera. And so Post Media had a daily paper in every market. So I would do the one interview for the chain and it would run out across Canada.
Yeah.
And that's
and it's different. Like, the thing is now, like, that still happens, but they don't change the content and it only runs online. fine. So when we did it back then, like they would change the copy to reflect the market.
Yes.
And it would run in the print version.
Yes.
Now what happens is I get a Calgary Herald story. It just runs as is on like the Regina Leader Post website.
Yes.
Which I don't see how that serves anybody.
It doesn't. And I was the beneficiary, I guess, in some ways, because I would get a lot of exclusives because, the tours would start in Victoria. So I loved it in terms of my interest in things I was writing about. I mean, when you're interviewing Prince, when you're interviewing Gord Downie, when you're interviewing Kid Rock or whomever, because it's going across the country, I get those interviews. If it was just Victoria, I wouldn't have got those interviews.
No, it's true. No, you were very lucky. You were like the luckiest guy I friggin' know, man.
Incredibly lucky. Incredibly lucky. I've never not said that. It's just like, here's the guy with the horseshoe up his.
No, it's so true, and I know you know that, but I'm always just like, how are you still working as a music journalist?
It's like real estate, man. Location. Like I say, it started in Victoria. Like that was the thing. We would have in the Post Media days. I'm owned by Glacier Media now, the Times Colonist, the daily paper in Victoria, which is owned by Glacier Media. It's not as big of a network. It's mostly BC, but Post Media was across the country. It was national. And we would have the morning meetings where the music critic in every city would hop on a meeting and we'd all be there and we all got to know each other that way. And we'd go, well, what do you got? Well, Joel Plaskett's doing 12 dates in the Atlantic provinces. And like, okay, Montreal Gazette, you can do that and we'll run that out there. And who you got out west? And I'd be like, well, HIP are starting 30 dates in Victoria. And, there was the downside is you're not getting the individual voices because everybody, Mike Bell and Calgary, like, there were so many people that had interesting voices and writing styles.
No, that's true. And that's what's missing. That's what do you know what I'm such a fan of just music writing in general, and I miss those days. I miss it so much because it's so hard. I mean, there are great music writers out there, but it's not the same.
It's not the same. Variety is the spice of life, to be a cliche about it. It is. And I was happy to be the beneficiary of getting those exclusives, but I didn't necessarily feel that was, like you said earlier, the best fit for every market, because the whole angle of having your employee write a story for Victoria by Victoria is because I'm like, hey, Gord Downie, you remember that time in 92 when you jumped up on the riser and you hit your head and then you had to go to the hospital and then the doctor was a huge fan, you signed the guitar for? Like, these kind of stories only come out when it's a Victoria guy doing the story or in whatever city. It's not just about me. It's like Calgary would have a similar story.
Yeah.
And
no, it's so true.
Those were the kind of things that created a culture and created a community in each market.
And that's what's missing.
And that's what's missing. I would say the unity of the country is missing because it's just kind of, but earlier I said the homogenization. I think what's happening is it's a different thing. It's not just that it was a post-media thing where one story would run across from west to east and vice versa. The homogenization now is there's just less people doing it. And it's basically, they're just doing a cookie cutter version of radio. That's the Bell radio. And I'm not mocking them. I'm just saying that's a big company.
Those are facts.
Those are facts. And so they're just replicating in each city with very little derivation from that. And it's just, it doesn't work. What works in Vancouver, West Coast, Victoria, doesn't work in Edmonton. Everyone knows Edmonton's a rock town. So, those kind of, your same approach, your branding, your station IDs, all that stuff's got to change. And it rarely does.
No, it's true.
So they're homogenizing it. They're just dumbing it down, right? They're like, people listen online anyway. So we're not going to put any effort into this.
It doesn't matter. No, it's true. That's exactly it. There's just no building of community and no local context for the stories, which really sucks.
And in journalism, that used to be where you went for that. And I've never been that, print's better than radio and radio's better than TV. I mean, they're all the same. We're all part of the same melting pot. Everyone has something that they do better. TV does one thing really good. Radio does a thing good. Print does a thing really good. And I don't know.
I know. It's sad. It's sad, Devlin.
You're missing that. You're missing the
that connection, right?
Yeah.
It's a connection. Yeah. Like I remember like wanting to read a certain journalist's take on a show. Like if I went to a good show and just being like, I want to see what Ben Rayner has to say about that.
Absolutely.
Or you even like it's just, I don't know. It makes me sad. But okay. So let's pivot a little bit here in this talk. One thing that we rant a lot when I call you.
Yes.
And one of my favorite things that you do is a little thing that I'm going to call Tough Talk with Devlin. In that, I like it though, because I have a friend that told me I should start a podcast called Tough Talk with Fritz. So
that's why we get along so well. Because
that's it right there.
BS.
Yeah, that's exactly it right there.
And you're not supposed to in this industry.
No.
Certainly in the major label world, of which is less of a going concern than it is now than it was when you and I started. But that was poo-poo, man. You weren't allowed to say that. I mean, I've told you those stories where I'd get a call from a publicist the day after a review. Publicists in Toronto of a concert in Victoria. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean, what am I doing? You don't say that about Feist. I got that phone call. She started her tour when she was breaking out and she was going from clubs to larger theaters. And the show was terrible. And so I said that, which why wouldn't I? I'm not there just to say it's awesome. Some shows are just a 3.5 out of 5 because it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that good. This was kind of like, ugh. And I said that. And it's like 9 a.m. Toronto time the next day. What are you doing? Management's pissed. And I said, well, why? Why are they pissed? Well, she's never had a review like that. Like, she's known as the person who always brings it. I'm like, well, she didn't bring it last time. It's like, this is not like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not headhunting here. Why would I? Feist is great. That show was terrible.
Like, do you understand how live reviews work, ma'am?
Well, and the benefit, this is where the benefit is. Now it's a lot of nameless, faceless media, faceless marketing, publicity wings of major labels. But back then, and I'm not trying to overstate this and make it sound, arrogant, but like if people knew me, if the publicists that I was dealing with knew me, they knew that was just how it was going to be. It's not like I'm Hunter S. Thompson,
No.
I'm also not. I'm not in Toronto. And believe me, if I was in Toronto, a certain amount of attention has to be paid.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
If you want to do good for your company and get that Feist feature, it's not in your best interest to rip her a new one because of a show. You might just look the other way. You might soft pedal it a little bit, give her 3 stars out of 5 when you want to give her 2, that kind of thing.
But and not write what you want to say.
Of course. Out here, it's a little bit more at liberty to say whatever I want. And believe me, I don't take every opportunity. There's lots of times to just, it's not rocket science. It's just like rock and roll. It wasn't great. Mick Mars is getting a little pudgy, a little soft around the outside, but I don't need to harp on this. This is not going to benefit anybody.
No, it's fine.
The tough talk is like, I've got a couple legendary ones, which is so fun.
Oh gosh. Do you want to tell one, or should we?
I got a letter from the president of the Anne Murray Fan Appreciation Society.
Oh, good.
I got, it was not a death threat, but it was like, getting into the threat of physical harm from a Gordon Lightfoot fan. Avril Lavigne fans wanted me to be fired. The Bare Naked Ladies is the famous one, among my friends. I've heard that. The Bare Naked Ladies one, where 3 of the 4 band members personally sent me emails, not through a publicist, Tyler Stewart at barenakedladies.com is coming in hot at 11:52 when my review went up at 11:47. I'm like, isn't the dude got other things to worry about? He literally just played a show. What the hell is he sending? But it was like, let's gang up. And he's like, you're everything that's wrong with journalism in this country. You're the reason why we bailed on Canada in the 90s. I'm like, me?
You personally?
But obviously he meant journalists like you. He's like, that's why you're at a small town paper and I'm not. And I'm like,
okay,
that's why
are you mad at me then?
Sucked ass and other ones don't. So, what do you want me to say, right? The other one, this is just like an anecdotal thing, but my proudest moment, and I never had an answer before he died. I wasn't about to ever ask him, but I had people in his camp, in the Tragically Hip camp, and I got a shout out on stage from Gord Downey, and which is pretty much he's never done. And I don't know why. This is why it's become a source of fascination for me. And again, I don't want this to come across as arrogant. It's like nothing to do with that. It's just fascinating to me that why is he giving me a shout out? So their tour started in Victoria, first of 2 nights. I review the first night, didn't go the second night. First night, terrible, like terrible. But I'm also wise enough to know there's no benefit to ripping the hip a new one. So I kind of soft pedaled it a little bit. But I certainly, like I went back the other day, like literally this comes up all the time for my friends. Are like, remember that time Gord Downey ripped you a new one from stage? And I was like, yeah, nice. And it still bothers me that I never knew if he was giving me a tip of the hat, because all he said is this one's for Mike Devlin. That's all he said.
I feel like it could go either way.
Well, that's what I mean. But, at the end of the day, I was like, well, it's a bit of a badge and an honor, even if he's ripping me a new one, or if he's kind of saying, I got you, we didn't do our best show last night. And that's kind of in the person I talked to, who likes to remain nameless, that worked for Universal and knew a ton of the hip camp. He said Gord wouldn't do that unless he respected that you called them on some stuff. And he said
he knew they sucked.
Because they are so used to never getting called on anything. And believe me, this was not like a 1-star review. Like this was like, obviously,
I know,
by the time the encore rolls around,
you wouldn't have done that.
By the time the encore comes, they're killing it, right?
Yeah.
But it was like one of those no opening act 2-set things. And it was so bad for the first set. Terrible. So anyways, that's the tough talk can sometimes produce these memorable moments that hey man, it's Gord Downey. Even if he was dissing me, I'm more than happy to have it.
No, I'd be like, go ahead, Gord.
Bring it on, brother.
Tell me what you have to say. I don't even care.
I love it.
How about moving in the same tough talk vein? How about some tough talk for musicians or bands who are maybe looking to get some local coverage and are like, Devlin, how come you're not going to write about my band?
So I always think of this one instance where there was a gal in town, and this was when CD reviews were a real prominent part of like a quote unquote music critic's job. CD reviews was a massive thing. It took a ton of time. You had to always deal with reps. You had to send tear sheets. You had to it was a big time suck. But there was a benefit to it, because back then you couldn't just get music reviews willy-nilly, right? Like, so that was the benefit of a music critic on staff in your market. If he was doing or she was doing the job right, they were getting the stuff in advance of the street date, and you're getting a review the day that baby's in the stores. There's a review in your paper. Like that was the benefit of that. But every once in a while, I'd veer out into the indie world of local musicians, and not to say we didn't review indie CDs in our review columns, but the local stuff generally mattered to people in your city and no one else. So you're not going to prioritize a local CD review over the new U2 record. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I'm like, I got to do it. I mean, I want to support these people as much as anyone, so I do it. And then there would be the people that were like just begging for a review, because the thing that was the familiar refrain was always, I don't care if it's a good or bad review. Any press is good press. And I said, well, my policy is if it's bad, I'm going to say it's bad. And if it's good, I'll say it's good. It's not, there's no favorites. There's no like soft pedaling. When it comes to a local CD, it's better for you to just hear it straight up. Yeah. And so this gal was all over me. She just wanted, and I was trying to, in so many words, say, I don't think you want me to review this CD. I was trying to say that and be nice and say, hey, how about a feature? Like next time you got a show, let's go that route. No, she wants a review no matter what. Wouldn't let up. I said, okay. And it was guns blazing. Like it was, this is a terrible CD. This is terrible. And I'm sorry, but that's kind of the responsibility, is to say this is terrible. So I did. Never talk to me again. So
shouldn't ask you for the review then.
It cleaned up the inbox a lot, Fritzy. But that was kind of the thing. I'm like, hey man, any press is good press. You need to have a thick enough skin to put up with it, right? And maybe, I can't say for sure, but maybe the modern artist is like more offended by the bad review because
it's not good. I can tell you. They have a recourse,
right? Like they can go to their social media, go check out this dick at the paper in Victoria that doesn't like our stuff. And then everyone will go to my personal Facebook and Twitter and just light me up. Right. Back then, it was a little more one-sided. Like the power of the critic, as lame as that sounds, like it was kind of a one-way conversation. Now it's definitely not. And the thinner skinned artists are way more inclined now to like rip you a new one if they don't like what you said. Even if, and I always got offended where I was like, look, you need to understand, like I don't, maybe some people do. I don't take this lightly. I've done my homework. I've listened to it with a completely open mind. I've done my best to appreciate where you're coming from as an artist, et cetera, et cetera. Like there's a checklist. There is. You want to give it an honest listen and an honest review. And I always did. And I said, you can't be mad if I gave it my honest opinion. It's one thing if I'm flippantly just like pointing out that you got a big ass and you're sloppy on stage and you can't hit the high C's, and you know what I mean? Like it's just, I would never do that. I would never do that.
But that's not what you're doing. You're being a critic.
Yeah,
which is your job, right?
Now is that's not good enough.
No, it's really interesting to see too, because you're seeing like higher, like, you know, your Lizzo famously did it, which was so crazy. She called out a critic on Twitter, and I was shocked because I'm like, this goes against everything I believe you to be, Lizzo. Like, why are you mad that one person didn't like it?
I totally agree. There's a big difference in the arts and culture world and in the sports world. In the sports world, athletes call out beat reporters all the time, especially in hockey. They call them out. And you know what? They should call them out, because in Toronto, you know how many people they have covering the Toronto Maple Leafs? Like 50, 60, 70, every move that team makes, anyone on that team. And there's people whose job is to just go on their social media accounts and dig up dirt, right?
Yeah.
And so if a superstar who is laying it on the line every night for the team, sacrificing his body and, you know, putting himself through punishment, and you're going to point out like, hey, I see that you were wearing a Britney Spears, like what the hell's up with that? And they want to get pissed off. They have every right to. But in the arts and culture world, if someone isn't doing that, I take real offense to that you're going to rip me because I didn't like your CD. Hey man, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, music is subjective, and you're not always going to hear what you want to hear, right? Like, that's just the way it is. Like, that's the deal when you're an artist. That's what happens.
You have to have thick skin.
That's just how it is. You put that out into the world and expect everybody that is going to like it. That's not what's going to happen.
Well, and not to harp on it, but going back to the Gord Downie thing in the hip show, where they, you know, either dissed or tipped the hat
Who knows?
to me. I don't know, and I'll never know. You know, that was the decision I eventually came to, was he respected the fact that I could be embellishing, but it felt like he respected the fact that I called him on that. And that's what it should be. If you're Lizzo and you're obviously talented and you're confident in your talent, what does what a guy in Atlanta say about your CD have anything to do with anything?
No, it's
true. If he's
true.
doing his job or her job, just let them do it. Leave them alone.
Let it go.
Like but it's one thing if it's a smear campaign about her weight. Well, then that's a
whole other
thing,
though. But that's not what I'm talking about.
And there are
lots
of people that do that. Yeah. There are lots of people.
Yes, there is.
Focus on that. Yeah. And I just don't think that's fair.
No, of course that's not fair. No. But just like music criticism.
But you know that. The snowflake, that's the world we live in. They don't want, they've been raised, my kids are being raised like that. They don't ever hear criticisms about their skills on the soccer field or whatever. Say, hey, good job, Jimmy. Yeah. Like, that's how it is. That's what we're creating. My dad was like, man, you sucked out there tonight. And my dad's a good dad. He's a great dad. You know what I mean? But that's, you know what I mean? Like,
you sucked out there. Good.
Well, you know, and that got said a lot. But it's true though. Like, I hate to follow that narrative.
That's why we like the tough talk, Devlin.
Hey, Fritzy, you represent a ton of artists. How many of them have thick skin? How many?
0%?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not, that's a bigger conversation that we're going to go tough talk with Fritzy and Devlin at some point in the future. But that's kind of where we're at with artists. I know so many people that are artist managers or booking agents or people like yourself, a publicist in marketing, that spend so much time talking to the artists about this. Of like, you gotta suck it up, Mr. Rocker.
So true.
Like, what are you doing? Like,
it's hard. It's hard though. Like, it's even like we provide some feedback to our clients too. Like, if people turned it down, we'll let them know, and that's even hard for them to take.
It's brutal, dude. It's brutal. Yeah. It's brutal. Like, I know you and I talk about this all the time. You and I know that what me saying no to one of your pitches is going to mean for you.
Yeah.
And you know I feel bad.
No, but it's just like, I have to just tell them this is why he said no, and this is.
But I know the cause and effect.
Yeah. Oh, I know you
that
do.
By me saying no to you,
yeah,
even if it's a good pitch, and for whatever reason, there might be a reason where I was like, hey man, I'm off this week. I can't help you. That has nothing to do with your quality of pitch or your skill set as a publicist representing this band. It says nothing of that. It's just that the guy at the Times Colonist is off this week. That's all it means. But I know what's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Which is you're going to get your ass kicked by them. They're not going to renew your contract. It's all stupid, right? It's just stupid.
No, that's kind of the shitty side of it, right? Like, It's just like there's so many factors in play that I can't control that just have nothing to do with my ability as a publicist.
Yes.
Right?
So there is, there's a lot of things going on, right? There's less outlets for you to get press for your artist. There's less artists that are a joy to work with. Mm-hmm. All these things go into the pot that ultimately is a shit sandwich. Like it is. Like there's a lot of stuff that we would fix. And this is not about trying to relive the glory days. Like, God help me. Like there was a lot of, how much bad music was made in the 2000s? Like Fritzy, you and I would collaborate on some really bad projects. Really bad projects.
Listen, we did some things to keep the lights on.
Hey, I wrote about E44, okay?
Yeah. We did what we had to do.
Totally. Right? But it's not like going back to that is going to change it. It's like people are like, I wish life was like the 50s. Yeah, with like rampant misogyny and homophobia and racism like that. But like when you see Happy Days, it looks pretty good, right? It's not like going back in time is better, but there was something at play then that kept artists honest. It kept journalists honest. You were held to a certain standard. And I don't think now, I think as long, like I was having a conversation with a coworker last night about what it takes to get on Saturday Night Live. You know what it takes to get on Saturday Night Live? Like 2 weeks of a hit. You're on there.
Yeah.
Morgan Wallen? Who? Like what?
Yeah. I know. It's so
crazy. Did he have 8
I
albums on his resume before he got to that? Or did he have like 8 weeks of a career before he got there? Like it's just, and so to me, those are the things. Okay, so now we're taking it out of, is someone succeeding based solely on their merit as an artist? Or are they succeeding on because, man, they blow up Insta? Like,
or they were
TikTok.
Like huge on TikTok. Yeah.
Totally, right? Like it's just like that to me is, so now you're asking a publicist to get press based on not their musical talent, not their whatever, is that she looks good and he with his shirt off has got a washboard stomach. Like that's what we're talking about here.
It's a different world. And also just like I was talking about this with a colleague the other day is how fast that cycle is, which I think is what you're alluding to. It's like, look at, here's an interesting one. That song Driver's License.
Yes. Oh my God.
Okay. Listen, I fucking love that song.
It's a great song, but oh my God, it's whatever.
But it's like, it's already over.
Of course it's over.
Like it started in January and it's over.
You're talking like over, like it's almost going back into the melancholia stage, right? It's almost going back into, you remember when that song was on the radio? It's like, 6 months ago? That song?
That's just
like Gangnam Style is in the gold category on radio now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's so weird to me. Like, that's how fast things are moving. I say
Eminem to my 15-year-old son. He's like, oh, you mean the guy that got in trouble for Bon Iver? And what? I'm like, no, the guy that changed rap. That guy.
Yeah, are you familiar?
Like, your knowledge of Eminem goes back to like 2 albums ago? He's like, Eminem sucks. I'm like, Eminem doesn't suck. You can not like his music, but the dude has been around. He kind of changed the game, right? But that none of that, like, there's no depth.
The kids don't know, Devlin. No, this is also a theme of our conversations. The kids don't know.
Always the kids suck.
The kids don't know. And also, I always argue with my younger colleagues about U2 because they will start shit talking U2, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about because U2 is one of the greatest live bands out there.
Totally, but it's just they haven't. They don't.
I tried to explain it to them. I was like, I was like, in the 80s, they were cool.
They were cool, man. But they haven't transitioned, and that's. I don't know. I don't know how that relates to journalism and what we're talking about here. But
it doesn't, Devlin. But
it's hard. But this is a typical conversation.
This is what. Okay, one last thing I want to get you to say before we move on. I fight with my bands all the time about whether or not they should have a website. Can you give me a...
You know my opinion on this.
Please go ahead and tell them why they should have one.
Like, they'll spend how many hours on TikTok and Instagram? And if they're a little bit older, Facebook and Twitter over the course of a day, and they can't get up-to-date tour dates on their website? I mean, tell me how that makes any sense.
It makes no sense. And as a journalist, you're a journalist and you're looking to write about a band and you can't find any information about that band because they don't have a website. What are you going to do, Devlin?
Well, you're going to go to the website.
But you're not going to write about the band because
you're
it's not
go
there.
To the website, and then once you realize these jackasses haven't done anything, haven't synced it with their social media. So even if all you are doing is updating your Facebook or whatever, it's syncing with your website. Like there is no excuse for not having up-to-date information on all platforms. And that to me, and you and I have said this, is like a giant red flag.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Now more than ever, we started the conversation with saying how few journalists, how many people, at least on a print and digital end, can give you proper coverage, not blog post stuff in return for a free pair of shoes. It's like we're talking about like it past checks and balances in order to be like, yeah, this is something I can get behind. I'll write about this. You've got less people coming to the table with that on the journalism end. The least you could do is make it easy for them in one sense of the decision-making process, right? Like you don't have to do the story for me, but you've got to
make it easy.
Well, it helps, but you've also got to like prove, in a sense, that's kind of maybe the wrong word, but you've got to show me that I can get behind your project, that you care enough to, at bare minimum, have a bio and a downloadable press photo and up-to-date tour dates and a news section that, again, syncs in your Twitter feed and whatever. You don't have to spend a lot of time doing this, but you do have to, this is your easiest form of advertising for you as a brand, as a company, as a band, as a festival, any of those things. It should just all be completely up to date. And if it's not,
you should make it easy.
I'm out.
Yeah, no, and you should make it easy. So you should have a bio, you should have downloadable high-res press photos, tour dates up to date, and you should have a discography, because the amount of times I look for that drives me nuts.
Yes. I totally.
I hate it. I
totally.
All right. Okay. Well, so we're done ranting now. So now I think would be a good time for us to move on to the fresh content segment. And every week on the show, we discuss our favorite piece of music content for the week. And we always like to start with the guests. So Mike, what have you got for us?
Don't start with me, Fritz. Yeah, I want to hear what you got going. That's more exciting than what I got going on.
No, come on. Do you really want me to go first? Okay. Because I've got a good one.
Because I might have opinions on your crappy music.
You're going to have opinions, but don't think I'm going to forget about you. We're going to come back. So mine is Bruce Springsteen related. You know, my love of the boss.
Yep.
I do love the boss. He just started a podcast on Spotify with Barack Obama. Called Renegades, Born in the USA. So Barack and Bruce are friends, and it's kind of them just shooting the shit and, you know, just talking about things like race and fatherhood and the state of America. And it is very high on the boomer content scale. And, you know, they are a little bit long-winded and slightly earnest, but it is a great listen. There's only 2 episodes up right now, and I think there's going to be 8 in total. Well produced and just great to listen to 2 amazing men just chit-chat.
Well, you bring up a good point, veering off just for a second, because mine's going to be a boomer guy too. I come back to that stuff when people, you know, and friends of mine who maybe aren't as maybe plugged in as you and I, and I'm certainly way more out of touch than I have been in decades previous, but you know, stuff comes. You're
working on it.
Yeah, stuff comes across my desk, so I'm afforded the luxury of it coming to me versus going out and finding the new music. It kind of comes to my inbox, but I always go back to the Springsteens and the Neil Youngs and that kind of thing, because the old model of that, right? So they demoed these songs. They rehearsed these songs. What wasn't good enough didn't make it onto the record. They're playing with the top level musicians, studio musicians. Yeah. There's an investment in that. So when a Springsteen record comes out, you can kind of compare it to his classic stuff and say it doesn't cut the mustard, because it probably doesn't. But it's still
Springsteen though.
But it's still been put through a certain quality control. And that's the problem I have with a lot of obviously there's exceptions, right? There's a ton of Maggie Rogers, like there's Phoebe Bridgers. I mean, these are incredible artists, right? Incredible artists. There's a lot of that new music that's being made that's very good. There's a ton that's being made that's very bad because it is not passing through the quality control.
I agree with you, but I was just having a conversation with Rob Calder in my office earlier before this,
Fox.
And the Silver Fox, and I said I think that this conversation just makes us sound like
I thought you were going to say
I don't get what the kids are listening to anymore.
Of course it does. Of course it does. But that's and I have said that. Like, I mean, hey, at the risk of sounding like 2 old people at the senior center, you know, But it's not so much that I only listen to the oldsters. It's that, going back to just what I said, which is it passes through a quality control filter that I think a lot of the other stuff doesn't.
Yeah,
And I gravitate towards a Maggie Rogers, a Phoebe Bridgers, like a songwriter versus a artist. Like an artist is somebody who, they look pretty good on camera. They're not bad. They can dance a little bit. There's an appeal there. That's an art. Like the songwriter in me, the fan of the songwriter in me is predominant.
Do you listen to a song, when you listen to music, you are lyrics first, music second, or? Well,
it's got to be lyrics. I mean, hey, there's a billion catchy songs that exist that are totally nonsensical.
Yeah.
That are awesome songs. And I'll play all the time. And they're still coming out today, right? And that's, to me, that's what a lot of pop music is now. I mean, seriously, show me a rap record that said anything that isn't Kendrick Lamar in the last 5 years.
Run the Jewels.
Okay,
record.
Sorry, bad example.
I'm sorry.
Bad example. No, hey, Run the Jewels, forget it. Incredible. But you know what I'm saying? Like generally hip hop now has no longer become the voice of the voiceless, which is overstating it. But that's what.
No, I get what you're saying.
That's what it was. Yeah. Nas was saying something. Public Enemy was saying something. Even Eminem was saying something, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like whatever sounds good in a rhyming couplet to get you to the hook, which is where they come in with the Post Malone's on the hook or Jesse Reyes is on the hook or whatever. Yeah. So it's less, and that's why it comes back to songs. Like lyrics, yes, but just the song structure. The stuff I'm listening to right now is there's a new Nick Cave record.
I haven't listened
to that. With Warren Ellis. It's just Nick Cave. It's just that guy. So it's Carnage. It's called Carnage. And it's boomerish, of course, because it's Nick Cave. The guy's been around since the 70s, right? But show me someone else that passes muster like Nick Cave. I mean, that's tough. That dude's...
Is he boomer? Or...
Well, he's maybe post-boomer. Like, he's like...
He's older than boomer?
He is. He's older than you think. He always dyes his hair black, right? And
I guess I just see
he's
him.
the Prince of Darkness, so you kind of give him a pass no matter how. He could be 100 and you'd be like, damn, it's Nick Cave, man.
Yeah, I guess he does. He has that same sort of thing as Bowie, right? Like, just like what you're like, whatever.
But like Nick Cave has made very few bad records, right? And he's still killing it.
I agree.
His last 10 years, everything he's put out, you're like, Jesus. Like, how is this?
I agree.
So he's got one with Warren Ellis, who's a longtime Bad Seeds member, called Carnage. And it's
okay.
I'm trying to look up. I'm actually looking up. This is where a good publicist comes in handy. The tip sheet that they sent me with the record. It says a brutal but very beautiful record, nested in a communal catastrophe.
Oh,
so if that doesn't,
that's very descriptive.
Yeah, but whereas if that's like, hey, this is an 18-year-old suburban mall kid, and you're trying to sell a record like that. No, you know what I mean? Like that's what I mean is kind of, that's why I just generally gravitate back towards that established artist, because if you know Nick Cave's life, that's it's been tough.
It's been hard. There's a reason he's dark.
There's a reason he's as dark as he is. And if he makes a record that says it's brutal and is hung around a communal catastrophe, sign me up, man. Like,
you're like,
sign
yes,
me
please.
up.
Yes,
sorry,
please.
Machine Gun Kelly. I don't really think that you and Megan Fox you're not really suffering that much. You know, you play Tommy Lee in The Dirt, right? Like, you're not.
He was good though. I liked him in The Dirt.
I don't hate him. He's an easy punching bag, but you know what I mean, right? Like, so that's for me is just I got time in my life for something that is going to have an emotional impact, that is going to move me, and that just generally comes with age. Both me as a listener and both the artist who is making that music.
Or do you think that we're just like nostalgic for like the music of our youth? Because like we're two Gen Xers who just like totally freaked out about Soundgarden Bad Motorfinger, which, you know.
Yeah, but you know, Soundgarden had every opportunity to make better records. Like,
well, they sure did, but
you know what I mean. And their comeback record was really good, man. I really thought that was a good record.
Listen, I think their records. I don't think they're horrible. I just think the magic's on Bad Motorfinger.
Me too, dude. Me too. All. It's like totally case closed. But the thing is if I'm listening to Pearl Jam, yes, I am nostalgic for the Pearl Jam of my youth.
Of course.
Because the Pearl Jam of today is not nearly as good.
It's not. And you know what? They are another great live band.
Fantastic live band.
People like to poo-poo them as well. And
Fantastic live band.
Perhaps you should see them live because they're very good.
I also get if somebody's listening to them today, they don't get why they're...
No, and that's... that is a thing where that's a situational thing. I think much like you too, right? Like you weren't, like if you weren't there, like at the inception, it's not going to have as big of an impact. It's tough.
I don't know.
It's hard.
I don't know.
We're not going to solve all of the world's problems right now, Devlin. So maybe this would be a good time to just cut the
because we could do this all day.
Yeah, because we'll just keep
right
going.
now there's probably like 3 people still listening, but still,
so I feel
it's fun for us. Hopefully
someone
got something out of it. But yeah, it's a different world, man. But it's not a world without its merit.
No.
Meaning the
there's lots of great music out there. Dude. No, there's lots of great music. There's lots of good music journalism still happening. So you just got to seek it out. You got to look a little harder for it.
It's just harder to cut through the noise because that's all it is.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to stop now.
Yes.
And I thank you so much for joining us, Mike Devlin.
Anytime.
I will definitely have you on the show again.
Anytime,
you know that.
Fritzy.
Is there anything you want to plug? Probably not, but maybe the newspaper.
I do work for the Times Colonist. If you're listening to Victoria, you probably already know of the Times Colonist. You may not read it, but we're doing our best in the middle of a pandemic and reduced work hours and such, trying to, that's another thing, right? Is like over the last year, look at the damage that's been done to the industry.
Oh, that's a whole other, that's a whole other
and for
conversation.
You, as somebody who represents artists, right? Like you're a budget they can conveniently cut, right? I don't need to tell you that.
Believe me, they are.
So I mean, I'm working for a paper where I believe in the people I work with. I think we're doing great coverage of what's going on in Victoria, BC, but it's tough. Like the trickle down is everywhere.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
It is. Well, we're going to have you back, Mike, because we could talk forever. But thanks so much for joining me, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Fritzy.
Isn't Mike the best? It was so good to talk to him, and I really hope you enjoyed our rants, basically. That's really what it was. Thanks so much for listening to the FM podcast. If you like the show, please tell your friends and give us a rating and review in Apple Podcasts. We're a brand new podcast, so as always, we could really use the support. And thank you to Said the Whale for providing the theme music for the show. If you want to learn more about Fritz Media, check out our website at fritzmedia.ca, and you can follow us on Facebook. We're at Fritz Media. And on Instagram and Twitter at Fritz_media. And if you want to learn more about the podcast, go to the fmpodcast.com. Okay, so we're going to go out with our song of the week this week, and I thought I would pick something related to Victoria in honor of Mike Devlin. So this one is from Fritz Media artist and current Victoria resident Leroy Stagger, who, by the way, Mike wrote about Leroy way back at the beginning of Leroy's career when he was in Victoria, and he has continued to write about Leroy many, many times over the years. So we're very grateful and thank you for the coverage, Mike. We really appreciate it, as always. From his 2019 album, Strange Path, this is Strange Attractor.
It's always taking the form. Are we interconnected? We all die and we all feel pain. You're a strange attracted to the things that you want. Don't you know that we all feel the same? Strange attractor coming to you. It's so strange. Right in the
Bye. I'll see you next Tuesday.